why you must apply Realpolitik when you are abroad. Well, today we are going to discuss. Today we are going to talk about why you must apply Realpolitik when you are abroad on your offshore affairs. And first, I'm going to start saying that this is not a documentary on Henry Kissinger or anything like that. We're not going to talk about him. I just put him on the thumbnail because, he's kind of like the symbol of Realpolitik. Let's here put the definition. And basically, it says that when you are doing politics, everything regarding politics is not about ideals, is not about what it should be done or anything regarding a particular policy that should or must be done or something like that. Is about what it actually is going on regarding politics at any given place at any particular time. So basically, it's just, being pragmatic and dealing with the reality. It's not about what you want, it's about what it is. And that's basically the definition of Realpolitik. And Kissinger was the main exposure regarding this particular school of thought regarding politics. Here on the channel, on the platform, despite the fact that we are a offshore consulting service, we discuss a lot regarding what is going on in the world compared to, similar platforms that talk about taxes, that, by the way, is not, rocket science, or, the passports and the paperwork or traveling and things like that, is that we like to focus on what is really going on in that country in order to try attempting to project a forward guidance on what is going on and what will happen at any particular position, and if it is strategic for our affairs. Could be taxes, could be lifestyle, could be business, economics, whatever might be the case. Not what we want, but what it is. So when, from now on, and that has been since day one, you see something about any particular politician, any particular political event here on this platform, it's not about if we like this president or we do not like this president or something like that. It's about that what is the most likely outcome regarding a particular political situation at any particular time on the near future in order to, let's say, hedge our bets. I say this because when you travel abroad and let's say you are a Western, and something that many Westerns struggle to, to fathom, to assimilate, is many different cultures and why it does happen. And, the situation compared to, let's say, your particular Western country. And many times, because not every part of the world has different particular, in this case, just for the sake of the conversation, different political systems that translates to different outcomes for that particular society. So you have, of course, your Western democracies, you have other more flawed democracies in Latin America and places like that, and you have monarchies and autocracies and everything in between. And the end result is that that shapes on the real paradigm of any particular country in the world, and sometimes just particular regions of the world. For instance, let's start with the United States, that has I'm not an expert in politics, but has a republic, not a democracy, and that makes the system that is a representation system. For instance, in the United States, when you vote for the president, you vote for an electoral college and a delegate rather than the president himself. But, de facto, you are voting for the president. Okay, I don't want to get too much into that. And of course, you have United States, the result of a particular constitution and a particular mindset and culture that you have going on since, let's say the past 200 years. And the main result is that you have a country that, of course, the richest country in the world on GDP terms, the biggest economy in the world, the biggest military powerhouse in the world, and also, of course, the most influential country in the world, and it has soft power, and that is why, is the big guy, in the world, in geopolitics, in economics, in culture, whatever might be the case. Now, of course, in the United States, if you live in the States, you know that, of course, a lot of problems that you have in the country, and I'm not saying, this is not a critique on the United States, on their problems. You have a bunch of good things, and also you have a bunch of bad things that I will say that the good things compensate the bad things, but of course, now we can discuss case-by-case scenarios, not the same someone making $250,000 per year that someone making like $40K per year. And of course, you have other issues, social, economic, but okay, that's not the main point. Again, you have an outcome regarding economics, regarding society, and that translates, if you are a citizen over there, translates to a particular lifestyle that might be for you or might not be for you. Now, you go, let's say, to a country in Latin America, and the economy, of course, is not going to be as great, but on societal terms, is going to be, more pleasant. That's actually the report that I have from my American clients in Latin America. So there are a lot of, let's say, intangibles that are valuable for a US citizen, and a bunch of good things that, let's say, are not a bunch of good things that you are not going to find in your home country, let's say the United States, or compared to the United States. And the bad things, of course, the bureaucracy, the infrastructure is not as great. Now, I will say the spread between the US and Latin America for the average citizen is, has been narrowing. It's not a huge difference. But still, of course, there are significant differences. Anyways, so you have these intangibles in many countries in Latin America, let's say, just for the sake of the conversation, Mexico, that you don't have in the US or another Western country. That also makes this particular country attractive, actually one of the most visited countries in the world. Now, and we mentioned this a bunch of times, that the main purpose of offshoring yourself is getting opportunities, getting outcomes, getting arbitrage in several different factors that you don't get let's say, in the United States or a particular Western country. And that's what we are all about. That's why, we bring you this service and also this content, of course. Now, many times you're going to see when you travel a lot, and let's say you are finding yourself, something like that, you're going to see a bunch of injustices that happen, and they are injustice, and that things that should not be happening, as a human can. But sadly, it is what it is. And many times, or maybe they are things that are injustices, or things that are, let's say, let's not go with the drama, and let's just talk about things that you might not find, they are not for you, they are not your cup of tea. Regarding, particular laws, particular habits in society, things like that. And many times the best is just, shut up, man, it is what it is. But also creates, certain opportunities, creates certain conditions that maybe you want to explore. I mean, talking just in order to visit, in order to get your attention, your interest. Also, something that we have to discuss is that many people think that, the rest of the world, let's say someone who is from the United States and has never been outside of their home country, and I think the rest of the world is like, like this huge favela or something like that, or it's a desert. I mean, it's funny. I just, a friend of mine just passed me a clip of South Park, and in this particular, episode of South Park, they think, Mexico is like hell or something like that. Mexico is beautiful. If you've been in Mexico, it is what it is. But so many people has this particular, stereotype. And not necessarily the case. You can have an excellent standard of living in many countries in the world. Some cases, way better. Yours have a way better standard of living compared to the United States. Of course, it's all about getting the secret sauce regarding, of course, the tangibles, the financials, and things like that. And afterwards, just set it up on a particular location, depending on your particular necessities and budget. But that's the main issue. Now, I always say that the biggest advantage that the United States has compared to the rest of the world as a citizen, if you're a citizen of that country, is that it's the easiest place to make money in the world, create wealth from scratch. That is the biggest thing, because it's probably the US is by far the country where, building wealth from scratch is the easiest place. In the rest of the world, there are a lot of people also that, work very hard and they fight a lot and became self-made millionaires themselves. But those stories are actually the minority. We already explained that the, let's say, significant cohort, most millionaires abroad the US and also Western countries, the rest of the Western countries, where you might want to call the West. Well, anyways, and what happens is that outside of this cohort of countries, becoming a self-made millionaire is, I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but the chances are slim to none. And most of the millionaires abroad, they're gonna be old money. We say this all the time. Crony capitalistic empresarios, politicians and their families, and people like that. Okay, I'm not judging, Realpolitik, but it is what it is. That's what happens. Or why? So let's say you are an American successful entrepreneur that became a millionaire and things like that. That happens a lot. I met a bunch. And maybe you are meeting a millionaire in, another part of the world, outside of the West, and you might think that, he also has this hustle and grind and this Gary Vaynerchuk or this kind of a business guru mindset, Tai Lopez, someone like that. Well, anyway, they don't have that particular mindset because they have their money or either they inherited and of course they went to fancy schools and learn how to, manage wealth and take opportunities and investing and things like that. Of course, that has a lot of value. Or because, they have an easy contracts with their local governments and things like that. Yet again, realpolitik. And that happens a lot. And this is something that you're going to see a lot. And sometimes it's going to defy your, let's say, beliefs on the world and, and how people are and so on. Because this is something that, yet again, especially from the United States, they struggle a lot. And I create all of these pieces of content in order to try to, assimilate this, because you are going to have, let's say, your experience and your perception of reality on how the world is outside of the US and a handful of Western countries is different from the reality. So, in order to sum it up, when you are abroad, apply Realpolitik. It's on your best interest. Many times, and most of the time, when you see something, a culture, a country different than yours, and has a different democratic system or political system or economic system, most countries are capitalistic with a pinch of cronyism. That's basically how the world works. So just be open-minded on that regard, and sometimes you just have to keep it yourself. It's not good, it's not bad, it is what it is. Thank you for watching Continental Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media, and if you want to work with us, continentalinsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.